Alright, I really need to stop making videos because I am not becoming a YouTuber, I'm a modder. I need to get back to mod development. But I just wanted to touch upon something that I saw repeated quite a lot while I was browsing the internet yesterday. And that is people asking whether Aspyr can add the Renegade and Elite Squadron maps from the PSP to the new Classic Collection. It is not feasible that they would be allowed to do this, considering the fact that these games were not developed by Pandemic. The Elite and Renegade Squadrons were developed by Rebellion, and this comes with another whole plethora of issues, which is why we will never see these maps ported to Battlefront 2 properly or officially. It's simply because they're running on different game engines. Battlefront 1 and 2 run on the Pandemic Zero engine, a lovely engine to work with if you like your balls being attached to a car battery. And then we have the Asura game engine, which is Rebellion's proprietary engine that was used for Renegade and Elite Squadron. The differences between the engines are unknown. We've never been able to actually extract the models of Asura engine maps from PSP. And yeah, Zero Engine has a lot of quirks. Basically, if we want to see the Rebellion maps on the Classic Collection, then someone at Aspyr would have to literally rebuild the maps. Possibly, if the raw Maya files have been preserved, then they might be able to just, work with a base, but there is no reason they would do this. It is very, 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 very next to impossible that we will ever see the Elite Squadron, Renegade Squadron maps a part of any official Classic Battlefront game. However, there is something I will mention in a minute. Now, obviously, a lot of people will probably immediately type in the comments right now about how modders for Battlefront 2 have got these maps working. That is because they ripped them at runtime. This is different from model extraction. Extracting a model is when we actually take the file format and we decompile it, and then we get the assets that way. They ripped it at runtime, which basically means they played the game and they kept taking essentially 3D screenshots of what was being rendered on screen at the time, and then they pieced the map together out of it. This is a very time-consuming process, so I have massive respect to Tancom who did it. But these ports are not perfect. They leave quite a bit to be desired. Yeah. Now, it's not impossible for Elite Squadron and Renegade Squadron themselves to be remade. The issue we have to combat against is simply interest. Right now, considering how successful the Classic Collection appears to be, there is most likely a large amount of interest surrounding the Battlefront brand. I wouldn't be surprised if there's conversations beginning to be had over at Lucasfilm Games about creating a proper third installment to the Battlefront series. When that will happen, probably not for a couple of years. They've already got several AAA projects in the works, but I know they got the Activision one, you got the Ubisoft one coming out this year. We have another one over at Respawn. Like, there's a lot of AAA game developments, and obviously Aspyr's going to continue to port the old game library. But the old game library is wearing a little thin. Most of the games are now available on modern hardware. I think some exceptions include the Revenge of the Sith video game, Clone Wars from 2003. I reckon that's going to be the next game to be ported by Aspyr, considering it runs on a similar engine to Battlefront 1 and 2. But a big thing that would make Elite Squadron Renegade Squadrons remakes and not remasters is the fact that Rebellion is still an active studio within the games industry, and the game engine they run on, Asura, was continued to be in use up until at least the previous console generation. It might even still be in use. But yeah, if as a community we can come together, show that there is definitely interest and support for a re-release of these games, then it might be worth Lucasfilm Games' time going and contracting Rebellion to remake the games. This is something that I reckon a lot of Rebellion devs are probably open to, because a lot of Elite Squadron Renegade Squadron's like senior team still work at Rebellion. For example, Rich D. May, who was the lead programmer for Elite Squadron, is fairly active on Twitter, and I actually tweeted at him whether he was interested in possibly remaking Elite Squadron someday, and he said it's been on his mind, but it's not something that Rebellion can do. They need to be contracted by Lucasfilm to do it, and in order for Lucasfilm to do that, there needs to be a lot. They need to know it will be a slam dunk, and this wouldn't even be the first time Rebellion remade Elite Squadron. They've done it once before. They did a proof of concept demo back in 2009 of what Elite Squadron could look like if it was running on an Xbox 360. It was never got off the ground because they simply they couldn't fit it in their timetable, and it was left on the cutting room floor. And for those doubting whether a Renegade Elite Squadron could, even a bare bones remaster could work for them, because there are HD textures for the two games, and Asura does run on there was a fully complete PlayStation 2 version of Elite Squadron that could just be retrofitted and released to multiple platforms. And Renegade Squadron could either be ported to that version of the engine, or I think I heard way back that Renegade Squadron started off with a PS2 version as well. But yeah, there's a lot of potential. If you want to see Renegade Elite Squadron, just make noise. Go on Reddit, reminisce about the game, say how much you want to see these games remade. Get other people to do it, spread the word, do it on Twitter, do it on Discord. Just get people interested in the idea so that Lucasfilm Games can see the interest and then reach out to Rebellion, who can then do it. They're pretty much, they will do it justice. They're not Aspire. You will probably see proper remakes as opposed to remasters. Even if it stays very faithful, it doesn't matter. I think these would be great games to remake, and that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Nice short little video. Subscribe for more. I promise this will probably be the last video on the topic of the Classic Collection. This is a pretty rushed video because I'm trying to get on with modding stuff today, as opposed to video editing and responding to comments. So yeah, no update on the Aspire mod development. There's nothing regarding the use of my mod to update on today, as far as I'm aware. There might be later today. It is early morning. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.